When Kriisa went down in that fateful game against Gonzaga, many Kentucky fans felt like a key part of the team's identity was being ripped away before it could truly flourish. The foot injury not only ended his season prematurely, but it also cast a shadow over the program's immediate future. However, when looking at the situation through a more optimistic lens, it's possible to envision a scenario in which Kerr Kriisa could return to Kentucky for next season, and perhaps even redefine the Wildcats' ambitions. Kriisa's eligibility for an additional season stems from his redshirt status, a rare opportunity he now has before him. While his future could include a transition to professional basketball in Europe or even other international leagues, there's something deeply symbolic about the possibility of him remaining in Lexington. Mark Pope, the Wildcats head coach, has a storied connection to Kriisa, dating back to when he first tried to recruit him to the United States. Despite losing Kriisa on 2 previous occasions, Pope was ultimately able to bring him to Kentucky, and that special relationship, albeit interrupted by injury, appears to be a factor that could weigh in favor of a return. Kriisa, for his part, has made it clear that his focus is on the present, avoiding any public commitments about the future. But there are nuances to his words that suggest the door to a return to Kentucky is still open. He spoke of the frustration of never having experienced a fully healthy NCAA tournament in his college career, mentioning the times he played through injuries only to be there for the big moments. That hunger for redemption, combined with the chance to lead a young and talented squad next season, could be the catalyst that leads him to opt to stay another year. Kentucky faces a significant roster overhaul for 2025-26. 6 players, including starting point guard Lamont Butler, will exhaust their eligibility, creating a critical void at the playmaking position. Pope has already stated that he will seek defensively sound veterans from the transfer portal to complement freshman Jasper Johnson and Acaden Lewis, as well as guards Colin Chandler and Travis Perry, who could return for their sophomore seasons. However, the presence of a player like Kriisa, whose offensive ability is undeniable, could provide a unique balance to the team. While other veterans shore up the defense, Kriisa could be the creative engine that drives the Wildcats' offense. Additionally, Kriisa's experience as a leader of elite teams at Arizona and his brief stint at West Virginia make him an ideal candidate to take on a mentoring role with Kentucky's young talent. He has demonstrated resilience in dealing with physical adversity throughout his college career, and his journey back from foot surgery could serve as an inspiration for the freshmen about to embark on their first NCAA seasons. While the final decision is still in Kriisa's hands, it's hard to ignore the potential of a return to Kentucky as a perfect final chapter in his college career. For Wildcats fans, the mere mention of the possibility sparks renewed hope. The combination of his skill, experience, and connection with Mark Pope could make this upcoming roster a formidable force ready to compete on college basketball's biggest stages. As we wait for this story to unfold, it's worth remembering that basketball is all about unexpected moments and exciting twists and turns. And if Kerr Kriisa decides to put on the blue and white uniform again, he could write one of the most memorable chapters in Kentucky basketball's rich history. And without Kriisa, do you know how tough it is for Pope? Let's talk about it. Kerr Kriisa's absence from Kentucky's lineup for most of this season was a huge blow to Mark Pope and his staff. And the prospect of not having him again in 2025-26 is a reality the Wildcats coach would certainly prefer to avoid. From the moment Pope finally managed to bring Kriisa to Lexington, after 2 failed attempts in the past, it was clear that the Estonian point guard would be a central piece of the new coach's project. His unique playmaking ability, his court vision, and his ability to lead offensively are attributes that few players in the country can match. Losing all of that, especially due to such a challenging injury, was a setback that tested the resilience of both Pope and the roster. For Pope, who is building his identity as Kentucky's head coach, not having Kriisa available means more than simply losing a key player. It means dealing with the difficulty of constantly revamping the game to fill that void. Kriisa was seen as the maestro of the offense, the player who could relieve pressure on the freshmen and seniors at the same time, distributing the ball in critical moments and creating opportunities where there seemed to be none. Without him, Pope has had to adapt his style of play, often sacrificing offensive fluidity in exchange for improvised solutions. This is particularly difficult for a coach looking to establish his brand in a program with the high expectations of Kentucky. In addition, Kriisa's absence puts even more pressure on Pope in recruiting and assembling the roster for next season. With 6 players departing the current team, including starting point guard Lamont Butler, the hole left by Kriisa becomes even more evident. Finding a replacement who combines defensive talent and offensive creativity, the traits that Kriisa balances so well, is a monumental task. Even with the arrival of 2 high-profile recruits in Jasper Johnson and Caden Lewis, Pope knows that the experience of a veteran like Kriisa would be invaluable in integrating these youngsters into the team and helping them quickly thrive. But perhaps the hardest part for Pope is that Kriisa represents something deeper than just on-court production. He symbolizes the culmination of years of recruiting effort, a personal connection that dates back to Pope's early days as an assistant coach trying to bring Kriisa to the United States. Losing this opportunity to work with him while he's fully healthy, especially at such a pivotal moment for the program, is an emotional toll that cannot be understated. The narrative of redemption and resilience that Kriisa could embody, returning from a devastating injury to lead the Wildcats in his final season, would be a triumph not only for the player, but also for Pope and his vision of rebuilding Kentucky basketball. So while Pope remains diplomatic and avoids speculating publicly about Kriisa's future, it's impossible to ignore how valuable it would be for the coach to have his point guard back. Kriisa's absence not only complicates the present, but also limits the possibilities for the near future. And if he decides to move on, whether to the pros or to another college, Pope will face the challenge of filling a void that seems, well, complicated. What do you think? Let us know in the comments.